It's Monday, February 9th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, GPS's location and privacy.
Let's do this.
Friday is a big day if you're a total nerd. I mean, I think things like this are neat, but I don't celebrate these holidays like I do other geekly holidays.
Yeah, I don't really celebrate so many of the geekly holidays.
Well,
I sort
I
of
do.
recognize them. I have them on my Google Calendar, but most of them I just give like a nod, and that's my celebration, except for...
Well, I think the thing for me is that I celebrate the holidays that are interesting to celebrate, but I tend not to celebrate any of the geek holidays that involve big, round numbers.
Yeah, like Pi Day, Mole
Yeah.
Day.
Mole Day, I celebrated when I cared about organic chemistry. I no longer care about organic chemistry.
You know, moles are for any kind of chemistry, not just organic.
Yes, but organic chemistry is what destroyed my love and interest in chemistry for the rest of forever.
I kind of like, like simple chemistries, but I don't like the complex chemistries.
Yes, organic chemistry. I was cool with it until I realized that every lab basically involved me taking naphthalene and making bad-smelling things. At that point, I decided that I didn't like bad-smelling things.
See, my main problem with chemistry is that it always involved, like, boiling something, right? And like, you would boil hydrochloric acid, and I'd always just be like, oh, fuck shit.
Oh,
Fuck
whatever.
shit.
I was more worried about spilling the acid on myself than I was about boiling it.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You're worried about spilling the acid. You know what? I'm twice as worried about boiling acid because you can't even, like, with the regular acid, like in a beaker, I can hold the beaker with my hand. It's very sturdy grip. I'm not going to spill it, you know? With the boiling acid, I have to pick up a big heavy beaker with, like, half a liter of acid with tongs. Oh, God. How do you...
Actually, what I was always kind of worried about wasn't so much the chemicals in the end, but it was mostly the physical manipulation. Like, we had to, whenever we needed, like, glass pipettes or anything, we had to make them ourselves. Like, we had to go through full lab procedures. So I'd have to take, like, this 10-foot piece of glass, score it in a couple of places, kind of break it on the table, and then, take the Bunsen burner, melt the end so it kind of rounds out, and do all this manipulation. And more than one kid in my high school totally shoved one of those things through their hand.
Yeah, I was worried about, like, someone tripping and falling over, like, like a power cord to a hot plate or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a lot scarier when I went
I mean, all the good labs have the power outlets up on the table, but even then.
Yeah. Of course, luckily, I didn't realize until later. I was always kind of worried that someone would leave the gas on and just, blow us all up.
Yep.
I actually found out that none of the gas lines worked except in the senior labs. Because they never really used them. But if you turn them on...
That's what I was worried about, too, is like, because I'd sit in a lot of just like lecture classes where I'd have gas right in front of me.
And all I could think was, the kids in this school aren't that smart.
The thing is,
Why
they
hasn't someone
turn
just blown it
all
up?
the gases have central controls. It's like if the gas is turned on, as soon as you smell it, there's a big button to push that says turn it the fuck off, even no matter which, knob it is.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to go searching for the knob while you asphyxiate, right? And they keep them off all the time unless you're supposed to be using them right then.
But Orgo was really scary, partly because I didn't take it in high school. I actually took night classes, so I went to the local college, and I took Orgo there. So, I had, like, the real equipment.
How do we get to this topic?
I don't know.
Mole Day, right?
Mole Day.
So,
Anyway.
what's Friday?
But Friday is the day where... now, this is kind of arcane.
Oh, I should explain this, right?
Well...
So, a computer, a Unix computer, a real computer, pretty much anything but a Windows computer, right? Keeps track of the time. It has a clock. It wants to know what time it is, right? So how does the computer know what time it is? Well, it has a number in it, right? Now, it doesn't just have a number for hours and another number for minutes and another number for seconds and another number for date and another number for time.
Now, the reason
right?
for that is because...
That's a whole bunch of separate numbers.
Not just that, math in regards to time sucks because time, as we count it, was invented by barbarians from days long ago.
Right. So how do they keep track of time?
I mean,
right?
think mod 31, but then it changes to mod 30.
Right.
Because,
Basically, Unix was invented like in the 70s, right? So for the time in the computer, it's the number of seconds that have passed since what, midnight 1970? I
think it's
something,
like
it's something
January
like that.
1st, 2 a.m. I forget exactly what it is. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So what you do is you look at that number of seconds, right? And how many seconds are in a year minus the seconds for the leap days, and then you can figure out, by math, how many days have passed. For example, I have the time now, and I have the time 5 hours from now. It's going to be, if I subtract, it's going to be, 5 hours is what I said, right? 5 times 60 times 60, right? 5 hours times 60 minutes times 60 seconds.
But
Boom.
anyway, this number just counts up. Now, eventually, this number is going to max out, but
you can just make it bigger and bigger with modern computers. We have 64-bit computers. We can make 64-bit number. We'll be good for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, but you could talk, well, it depends. Final question? I mean...
The last question?
Yes, this is one of those
I think that the last...
concerns.
I think
we can ask it later.
If we use a 64-bit number for the time, the last question will be a problem before we run out of time.
There's a quote in the Slashdot article. Alan Cox does assure us that Linux is now working on 64-bit time, and the Unix epoch rollover will happen sometime around when the sun burns out.
Exactly. It's
But
sort of
anyway.
like IPv6. It's a billion IPs per square millimeter. It's like we're not going to run out.
On Friday the 13th, 2009,
Oh, snaps.
at 11:31:30 p.m. UTC,
Get your conspiracy theories.
Unix time is going to reach 1-234-567-890.
Oh my God, conspiracy. It's the end of the world. Oh my gosh.
So if you do
Numerologies.
I don't know-
Nostradamus.
I don't know why they used Perl here. There are better ways to do this, but if you do a Perl-E and then you just print scalar local time, 1-2-3-4-5-6-7-8-9-0, it'll tell you.
You can just do date %s.
Yeah. Anyway, this is
You can do watch date %s.
watch, but watch only updates every 2 seconds.
You
so
could tell it to
depending on-
update every 1 second.
Yeah, but only every 1 second. So you could be up to 0.9 seconds off.
You could take an alarm clock program, set it for that time. Ta-da!
Or you know what? It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just an arbitrary number, sort of like, oh my God, the year 2000. Well, it's just an arbitrary number on the year,
But it's big
It is big.
and round.
Arbitrary and round. People love those round numbers and symmetries.
Except for 2012. That one kind of came out of nowhere.
All right.
That's how you know it's legit.
All right. So you want to talk about news or should I talk about work business?
You got work business? Yeah, I heard rumblings in the forum.
There are some rumblings. Basically, this has been something in my work for some time. And, I sort of stroll into work, when I want to and leave when I want to.
That was my life at IBM.
Which is, enough time to get the show done and get on the train and do the commute and the whole thing, right? I'm not going to give, with this commute, I'm not about to spend extra hours at work because it means I get home like an hour and a half later. And that it's like, it's terrible. It's not good. And then if I stay at work too long and I do the show, I don't get enough sleep. And then even if I go to work at the right time, I'm sleeping on the desk and I'm not eating 3 meals because I don't get home in time for dinner. And if I could buy dinner, but it's too much money, right? So basically, we never had these before because I've been working there for 2 years and it was just sort of laid back, but we got acquired recently, which I think I talked about. So now it's much more corporate and such. And basically, I had a yearly review and I had been told that they wanted me to stay there for longer hours. And I'd be like, yeah, it's not going to happen. So today was the review, which is all formal and office space kind of shit, right?
It's weird how I've never really worked at a company where I had to go through anything like that. Like, my
Yeah.
reviews have always been like, we go out to lunch and we just kind of chat, and then that's it.
So the review is pretty much, instead of, I walked in and I'm like, are you letting me go? And they're like, do you want to be let go? And I'm like, kinda. It's like, because it would have just been easier that way.
But that's the Office Space answer. Because remember, in Office Space, the less he cared, the more they wanted to keep him.
I know, right? No, but basically they basically wanted more from me. They're like, they think I'm a brilliant technological genius that is just not working hard enough. They're like, we need you to work more hours. They're like, if there's a problem at like 11 at night, we need to be able to call you and fix it. I'm like,
Now, what you could have done, is because there is a price. There's always a price. You could have said what the price is for that from you.
The thing is, I'm incredibly honest, so I'm like, look, all right, I care more about stuff outside of work than I care about work. And in fact, I really don't care about this work. I only care about it because A, the money pays for what I do that I do care about. And B, you people are cool. I like you people. This work I don't give a shit about, right? I don't care about the company. I just, it's sort of like the only reason I'm still here is that if I leave, it's sort of like giving you guys, the dick move, right? Because, if I leave, the other guy is the other developer guy, he already sort of, works incredibly crazy hours. And I think he's crazy, But, from their perspective, they think it's unfair, which is completely understandable. It's like they're working the hours they're supposed to. They see me strolling out. They're like, oh, that's not fair. He's leaving. But
of course,
at the same time, I look at them and I go, they're crazy.
There are better ways to handle this than your company is handling it. I mean, like, what do we do? My company, we need people to support the production environment from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So what do? We don't hire someone to sit there from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have me. I work 7 to 4. We have someone else who works 9 to 6.
Yeah. The thing is, even 6 is like too late, And, there's sort of
be the 7 to 4 guy.
And, the company, they're only, right? I started working there 2 years ago, right? And if you don't count the people who work for the company that acquired us, you only count for people who work for, our part. There are only 5 people there who have been there longer than me.
Now, it's kind of
4 of them are named Mike.
It's kind
of two of them work outside of the, away from the office most of the time because, they work from their homes most of the time.
Man, well, of course, remember, when I worked at the hospital, I went through 4.5 managers because they kept quitting on me.
So I'm sort of in a situation, though, because, like, I've looked at some other jobs, I've applied around, right? And it seems like, I could get another job. But a lot of those other places, it's like they also want someone to work crazy hours. And I'm like, look, it's probably not going to happen unless, your company is like way awesome and I own it or something like that, right?
Or they pay enough to where then you quit after a year and live a life of idle luxury.
See, that's the other problem, right? Is if anyone pays me enough money, right? I might, like, let's say someone paid me $200,000 a year, right? Some crazy amount of money, right? And that's pretty crazy for me, right? I would work for 1 year. I would work crazy for 1 year. Hell, I'd put off geek nights and everything else for exactly 1 year.
Maybe 2 years. Then you have twice as much, $400,000.
Well, no, because that's a slippery slope, It would be about a year, basically, because that way I'd make sure I get any 401k rollovers. I do the taxes, right? I would probably, after that year was over, I would have $100,000 in the bank in cash because my cost of living is so low and I wouldn't go and buy extra luxuries. Then I would just run away to Europe or something crazy. I have $100,000 in cash. I could live for like 3 years or 4 years on that without having to work. So no one can afford to pay me that much money because I'll just leave. So I don't know what I could do, but if I can... Either A, I can find a job that doesn't want me to work crazy. B, find a job that'll pay me a shit ton of money. Or C, get rich by some miracle lottery.
See, on FARC, C is usually the option that ends with you in jail.
Jail is an option. At least I don't have to work so hard in jail.
It is an option. Think about it.
And make license plates. Nice and comfortable.
If you're an open source guy and you really want to learn something that you can learn from slightly out of date books, you could go to jail for a year, lift weights, read books. Someone pays for your food.
If I just had a computer with the internet in jail, I could be like, be great.
Well, except for...
I'm not allowed to make money while I'm in jail, but basically I would work for you. You would collect all this money into a company. And then when I came out of jail, you would give me my half of the company.
So is this the plan?
No.
No?
The plan is you to go to jail and for me to do the company.
But I'm more of a front man. I'll set all this up for you, and then you go to jail.
Yeah, I come out of jail, and you're like, hey, Scott, yeah, it's a nice hobo beard you got. What? Half company, what? I don't even know who this guy is.
So
I'm not hiring ex-con. The investors wouldn't like that.
I finally get out of the joint, and you pick me up in a cop car. I kind of
maybe I should go to jail. If something like that'll happen, it'll be totally worth it.
Anyway, so what do you got in the news, Captain McNews?
Okay, so people may know I have an iPhone, right? But I don't use MobileMe, So I have the problem in that there's some Google stuff on the iPhone, but most of it is not so great, right? It's like I can't use the integrated calendar on the iPhone. I have to like go to the Google Calendar website. I can't use, I can't get my Gmail pushed to the iPhone. I have to use IMAP and it automatically checks it every 15 minutes or so. I can't get my Gmail contacts onto the iPhone, but I really care about contacts, It's mostly the calendar that I care about. I want to use the iPhone calendar application, but I want it to be my Google Calendar. And the ways to do that existed, but they sucked. The easiest way to do it would have been A, I have to buy a copy of Outlook, and B, I have to sync with a wire, right? My iPhone to iTunes. iTunes syncs with Outlook. Outlook syncs with this tool. The tool syncs with Google, and Google makes the tool part, right? Only syncing my calendar when I'm at home and going through all those different applications.
Basically, removing the point of even having the calendar.
Right. So Google came out today. They paid Microsoft. This is the first time that Google or Microsoft has ever licensed the other's intellectual property, ever. They licensed Microsoft's ActiveSync. ActiveSync is the thing that lets phones synchronize with Exchange servers, right? So if your work has an Exchange server and you got your Windows mobile phone and you synchronize with it, you're using ActiveSync. Right? It's the same thing that, the iPhone uses to sync with Exchange servers and such, right? BlackBerries don't use ActiveSync. You have to get a BlackBerry server that is a separate add-on to the Exchange server, right? Anyway, so Google licensed ActiveSync from Microsoft. They paid Microsoft money, and now you can synchronize your iPhone or a bunch of other phones, BlackBerries and all sorts of things, with your Google stuff, your Google account, over the air with push everything, right? Synchronize both ways, don't have to plug it in. The problem. There's
always a problem.
Number one problem. The iPhone, specifically, can only synchronize with one Exchange server at a time.
Now, I've said this before, but I need to say it again. That's like the most ludicrous restriction.
It's completely retarded. So this means if let's say you have an iPhone and you use it to synchronize with your work email, you cannot use Google Sync. You can't, because you would have to basically stop syncing with your work and sync with Google instead. You can't do both at the same time. I can do like 100 IMAP mail servers. You can only do one ActiveSync. It's like, really? Honestly?
Really?
Seriously? There's no reason for that. It's completely stupid. Problem number 2. And this is really, really stupid. It only synchronizes your contacts and your calendar. It doesn't synchronize mail yet.
So basically it does nothing.
Basically it does nothing, right? It's beta still, but I mean, come on, it doesn't synchronize the mail. So if I wanted to use this, I would have to synchronize with my company's email by IMAP, synchronize with my Gmail by IMAP, and synchronize with my calendar and contacts only by push. That's not worth it.
They have basically released the goggles and nothing more.
Right. I mean, if you only use Google stuff, maybe it'll be worth it to use the push, because you can't get the Gmail by push anyway. So you might as well do it with IMAP and then synchronize the other stuff with the push, because you're not using it, right? But, I mean, come on.
See, I guess push...
It's still not a real solution.
I guess
the
luckily,
one thing I can say in their favor, they did release it for Google Apps right away. They're not giving Google Apps people the stick anymore.
Finally, we've been living on like the second-class citizen island for a while.
Anyone who is a front row crew of Google Apps, you can use this if you want.
I guess at least luckily, one, I'm still using like the original Razor for my cell phone.
Well, because you only make calls. I mean,
well, I have the work BlackBerry, which I use as my BlackBerry, and I don't really care about push, because work I need push because I'll be on call for things sometimes. But for my real life, I don't really need push.
Yeah.
I understand how it can be useful. It's not like I'm going to be, you punk kids, why do you need push? I understand why some people would need push. I only need pull. In fact, I dislike any time media is pushed upon me. I
kind of like, being notified of like a new email or something,
only if I'm at a con where it would matter. Like, say I email Ukraine and I'm like, yeah, at the con, blah, 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 and I want him to email me back. The only way for him to get my attention is to call me or send me a text message, and text messages suck, and I don't like answering my phone. Push email is great for that, but that's the only time. So,
I Oh, I like pushing. I guess what it is that
You're the pusher robot.
I don't have that. I mean, if I have the thing constantly buzzing with shit, it's like fuck that, right? But if every push is something significant, like I recently went through and I've just been unsubscribing like crazy from all these bullshit newsletters that you sort of accidentally sign up for, even though you try not to when you like join websites and things.
The one thing it does do that I can see is if every email you get is significant, or you have good filters in place, is that it removes the desire to go and check your email.
Exactly. That's right. I mean, not only have I unsubscribed from all these bullshit newsletters, but I have filters in place that move all sort of like the automatic emails into a separate folder. So like if someone follows me on Twitter, I get an email, but it goes into a separate folder so that is just sort of hidden. So every email that actually ends up in my inbox is a real email. That's like the real deal for me. And that's something that I seriously want to read.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I get more and more because I tend to do more of the producer side of Geek Nights. I get a lot of email from various press outlets, and it's not easy to filter it because it comes from a lot of different sources. My email address, like I'm on these lists where I'll get like...
You could always, though, filter out the Geek Nights emails from, the ones that are to Geek Nights.
But they're not, no, I'm talking about the ones that go to me. Because my personal email is also on all these lists because I'm the point of contact for all
You could do stuff like if the email, there's filters that you can do that say like, if I am the sole recipient, do this. If I am not the sole recipient, do something else. That way you can get off lists and things.
I think what I need to do is eventually just make another email alias that is just, personal.
We could do that too.
And then, Rim at frontrowcrew.com basically is the, external.
Yeah, it sucks though that Rim isn't the personal one. It's like you'd want that to be the real one.
Because it's the stage name. I mean, it can't be the real one. There's no way.
You could use like Brandon DeCoster. I think you have that anyway.
Yeah, I do, but no one in the world knows me by that name except for like people I work with, and even them, they kind of know the deal.
All right.
Like no one calls me that, but like Gabe and Tycho, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no way either of them could ever even check Gabe or Tycho at pennyarcade.com.
Yeah.
It's the same deal.
Yep.
I mean, any listener can figure out my email address. I have to have the, rim - you're actually my friend at frontrowcrew.com.
Just tell me what you want. I'll make it.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
All right.
But yeah, anyway, along those lines, actually not along those lines at all, the Kindle was announced, actually. Like, it was leaked already. You could have found most of the stuff out already, but the Kindle 2 is out, and you can read all the business, and there's a million videos.
Oh, you're not going to break it down?
I am going to break it down.
All right, break it down.
Basically, it's $360, which is, I'm going to wait. That's too much money.
I'll tell you what I think of it when you're done. Breaking it down.
I really, really want one. And I got to say, like, they were talking about how it's a lot thinner than the original, which I found hard to believe when I heard that rumor because the original was already pretty freaking thin. This thing is thinner than the iPhone. Like, it's tiny. It's like it's smaller than anything I carry around. But it's $360, and you still can't just put PDFs on it. Like, those are the two things that really bug me. But I mean, otherwise, the screen is a lot better. Like, it's a lot more contrast. It changes pages a lot faster, which might sound dumb, but using the old Kindle, like, it took it.
Yeah, you listen to our episode about, ebook readers and the screens and whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid talking about anything that we covered there in terms of, like, general needs. But it took it a noticeable amount of time to flip pages. It wasn't a deal breaker, but, like, you noticed it and you kind of went, eh. It's sped up now to the point that...
I'm sure, though, that when they make the Kindle 3 or the Kindle Nano or whatever, that it will flip pages even faster and that the new one will seem slow,
But I was watching videos of the difference. It is fast enough now to where it is no longer a concern of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is... I no longer care about that. It already flips fast enough.
Yep.
But the battery lasts a whole bunch longer. The screen's a lot sharper.
The battery lasts for fucking ever, apparently.
Yeah, it lasts officially 25% longer, but I'm hearing reports that it basically is now like the Nintendo DS. You just never charge it.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was interesting was that Basically, they made the screen like actually sharper. There are more levels of darkness that it can display.
Yeah, there's 16 colors of gray, something like that.
Yeah, and I can't verify that in person. I haven't touched one yet, but as far as the internet has said, it really stands out as being different.
Mm.
And other than that, they haven't really changed anything.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is I really wanted to want a Kindle, right? What do I like about it?
Oh wait, one more thing. They added text to speech. Again, why? But anyway.
Well, that's good for people who can't, see.
But there are better ways to
Or
go
people
about
want
that.
to,
If you can't see, you don't really need a Kindle. You need a purpose device for people who can't see.
I know.
Yeah.
You can listen to Audible audiobooks on it.
But I can do that on my, iPod.
Right, which is smaller. So I wanted to want the Kindle. Why did I want to want it? Well, I like reading.
To want me.
I like reading a lot.
I need.
All right, you can stop. I want lots of books. I want to pay less for those lots of books, right? So sometimes Kindle books are more expensive than actual books, and sometimes they're less expensive, right?
I don't even care about that because basically, even if Kindle books cost more, carrying around physical books, if it's just text, like if I'm reading, Farewell to Arms or something, I just want the words. I don't care about anything else. Now, if I'm carrying around the Mouse Guard book, I don't want the Kindle. I want the Mouse Guard book.
Yep.
But I want a device where I can just read what I want without having to buy and carry around physical books.
Yep, but the thing is, here's the problems, right? Number one, when I buy physical books, book lending happens a lot. It's not like with other things, like with music or movies, right? There's not a lot of lending going on. Usually, you watch a movie together with all your friends, and then, maybe you rent it or you'll stream it or something like that. So you don't need to have it and lend it. But books, there's a lot of lending. Especially like comic books, I lend them like crazy, right? So,
well, basically,
with a DRM to ebook, there's no lending going on.
It's not even just that. It's a more fundamental issue.
So why am I paying this price that could possibly be more than the cost of a paperback
clearly
version?
It's for the convenience of having the ebook.
Yeah,
reader.
but I'm losing the lending ability, which I care about much more than the space-taking ability.
Well, I care more about me personally, I care more about the space and the convenience.
I care about the space a lot, but not as much as the lending.
But the lending's not the issue. It's much deeper than that. And I've realized this, and I've mentioned it before, but it really hit home when I actually went from, ebook readers to, will I buy this? And I realized that I can't buy the Kindle because I can't support the erosion of first sale rights. I have a right to first sale. The fact that DRM, and we saw this in video games with downloadable content, and we're seeing this now with ebook readers and with Netflix and these things, but I think it's going to be a serious issue that is going to affect lower income classes of people as time goes on, that because secondary sales are increasing and there's so much media that they're more willing to buy used things or borrow or lend, not even pirate, but perfectly legally get used DVDs, rent and return, these sorts of things.
I just sold, right? I sold 4 things on Amazon. I just mailed the last one today. They all sold. Someone bought Gundam F91. Haven't helped them.
Losing the right of first sale I think is going to have far-reaching societal implications that I am not comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And that, coupled with the fact that because it is DRM'd, I'm basically renting these books, not buying them. I've decided in the end that just philosophically and morally, I cannot support the Kindle as long as it is set up in such a way that I lose the right to first sale.
Yeah, if I buy a paperback book, I can sell it again on Amazon. Kindle book, you're stuck with that book forever.
Well, not even forever. Never say forever. It's DRM. It's not forever. It's, a number of years, maybe 5, maybe 10.
But it's stuck on your Kindle. It can't be removed from the Kindle.
Well, no, it's an account. Like, you can download it to another Kindle and read it with your account and all that stuff. But you are reliant upon that DRM, and you could, at some point, we're probably going to lose our access to these works.
Mm-hmm.
And
the other thing is one thing they did that was nice on the new Kindle is now it actually connects with USB, and you can send text files over and such,
but
right?
not PDFs.
Well, because PDFs need to be converted, which is an understandable.
But to convert PDFs, you can't just convert them. You have to basically email them to Amazon and they convert them, and then they email them back to you, and then you put them on the Kindle. Or
Well, they email them to the Kindle.
no, Scott, you email them back to you and you put them on the Kindle.
I'm pretty sure they email them directly
Scott,
to the Kindle.
You've got to let me finish because I read all the articles and I know.
I read the thing on Amazon.com, and it says
yes,
your
Scott,
Kindle
Scott,
has an email
Scott,
address.
Yes, you realize there are two ways to do this, and there are important caveats to both.
Uh-huh.
You either email it to Amazon, they email it back to you, and then you sync it to the Kindle for free over the USB, or you email it to Amazon, they email it via the 3G to the Kindle, and you pay 10 cents.
Oh, I didn't know you had to pay 10 cents.
Yes,
Didn't
you have
say
to pay
that.
10. It says that straight up very clearly.
Uh-huh.
These are two ways to go about it.
Uh-huh.
But the part that bothers me is you have to email it to them. Why don't they just give me the
Why don't they
little
just
converter?
why don't they just distribute the free PDF Kindle converter
Well,
software?
the official answer that it kind of makes sense is that it's still beta, and because of the way PDFs are, a lot of PDFs just get totally fucked up. So by emailing them to them, they kind of get to test the converter and continuously update it on their side without having to constantly update everyone else. And theoretically, someday they'll have a converter that works pretty reliably, and then we'll get it.
The problem is it's only going to work on a PDF that is predominantly text. It's not going to work on a PDF that has like if I had a PDF of the Mouse Guard book that was all scans, like the Mouse Guard RPG, even if the text was in text with all those pictures and shit. And,
But I'm fine with that because it's just a text reader.
Yeah.
It's clearly not an image or
Yep.
video or color or anything like that. But in the end, we lose the right to first sale, wide-reaching societal implications, like far
the
beyond.
price is too high. The amount of money I'll save on the books isn't enough to make up
saving
for
money is like zero concern.
Yeah.
I'm concerned with societal implications and personal use.
Yeah. Anyway, the one other thing that I don't like about the Kindle that it kind of bothers me, right? It has this keyboard on it, which is, it's a fine keyboard, right? And the device is still pretty small, but how much typing am I going to do on it? Really?
You realize people who own Kindles now, from what I see, they just surf the web on it and like check their email.
See,
and
the thing is,
they type on it a lot.
I only want to use it for reading books. I don't want to use it for any of that stuff. I have an iPhone that's way better. It has a color screen.
Scott, other people want that. They want it enough to where they're willing to. They want it. Like that is big
That's
feature
fine
for
those people, but for me, I don't want that. In fact, I specifically don't want that.
But
I
Scott,
want something that doesn't have that keyboard in the way and is actually much smaller and just reads books.
But Scott,
give me the Kindle Nano.
You're forgetting the point. You are probably never going to be the demographic for the Kindle.
The thing is, I really want to want one. I get caught up in the specifics. Just fuck it over.
But the thing is, the technology of the Kindle is fine. I'm okay with that screen. I'm okay with everything about it.
Oh yeah, I'm okay with the screen.
I'm okay with the price to the point that if the DRM were not a concern, or if instead of this model, because the reason why I'm okay with Netflix on demand, or even Netflix in general, but I'm not okay with this DRM or, the old iTunes DRM, is that DRM that pretends you're buying something when in actuality you're renting it is BS. DRM that is straight up you are renting it is fine. And if the Kindle costs the same it does now, and I had to pay $20 a month on top of that, but that $20 a month got me access to any ebook on Amazon, like maybe 10 at a time for as long as I kept paying, like I wouldn't even, I would have already bought it.
There is one difference, though, that I do agree with that mostly about the renting. There's one difference, though, between renting of a physical medium and renting of like a streaming thing, right? And Netflix is okay because they still send you the physical thing if you want, right? But you can also get the streaming.
I don't care about the physical thing. I would love it if Amazon or if Netflix got rid of DVDs entirely.
The difference is, right? And this, you might not care about it, right? But I think it's very important. Is let's say Netflix is only streaming, right? And you say compare it to Blockbuster where you rent DVDs, right? And let's say they were the same price, whatever, right? Just get all those other things out of the way.
I'm curious what you've got there.
The thing that will be a problem of everyone switching to the streaming is now we can't take those streamed Netflixes and make YouTube mashups, or we can't, remix them or any of that.
But Scott, that's a good thing for the industry in the end, because look at this.
I don't care about the industry. We're caring about us. If you care about the industry, you should buy the Kindle.
Scott, and for us, that's not a concern. Your rights, right? You're renting the media just to watch it. Like, that's what you're paying for. if you want the actual media in an open format to deal with personally for, remixes or whatever, just buy the DVD. They sell it in the store.
Yeah, but they have to, the thing is, if I rent from Netflix on DVD, I can do that, with only renting.
But that's just because they give you this extra thing that most people don't want.
Yeah, but that's, I'm still, that needs to be,
But Scott,
available.
that's just
because I can see, if the streaming and
Scott, it
access becomes the norm and ownership goes away. I mean, you can't, copy and paste from an Amazon Kindle
Scott,
book, can you?
I've never said that ownership will go away. The thing is that it's
the thing is, I can see ownership going away in favor of these, just giving access.
But Scott, ownership only goes away if the majority of people don't care about the rest of it, and the majority of people don't.
I know, and that's a problem. It's a severe detriment to art and creativity.
I don't think it's nearly that much of a detriment because even with the streaming, people just hack it. And two, I'm pretty sure that the ownership media will still be there because the average people, at least for the foreseeable generation of people, they still like to own these things.
Yeah, I don't know, but if we start moving to access and ways to own things become incredibly expensive or impossible, it's going to be problematic from that standpoint.
I think that is a much weaker concern than the much more pressing concern.
I still think it is a very strong concern.
I think it's weaker because it's much deferred by the fact that culture changes much more slowly. I'm more concerned with DRM rapidly removing our immediate first sale right than I am with DRM.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with that, but I'm concerned about both. And
Scott,
I don't want to give up either one.
Basically, the concern that the rental model will destroy the buyer's model has been a concern since Blockbuster first existed. And that is not panned out yet. Meanwhile, DRM getting rid of first sale.
Yeah, but what's happening is renting is expanding into not just rental, but into and access to anything you want at any time, but access only.
But Scott, everything that has that, the physical media and the ownership has gone nowhere. It's still right there and available.
Yeah, but I could,
give me any example of something that became on demand only.
In a few years.
Do you really? Because so far, there's zero examples.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
But there's no trend at all. It hasn't happened at all.
It's going to happen. DVD sales are going down the shitter. Hulu watching
Scott,
is going up.
DVD sales are going down for a lot more reasons than that.
I'm just saying, it's coming.
But Scott, like I said, it's coming.
So we were going to wait until it happens and then worry about it.
No, I'm saying that you have to prioritize. Nothing is ever.
I'm saying both. Why can't we do both? Why do we have to stick with just one?
Scott, in the world, no priority is ever equal to another priority. There is always a point of decision. So therefore, there is always a matrix of priorities.
So I'll put my point of decision after both of those.
Okay. All I'm saying is that I think it's a much less immediate concern than the loss of first sale because
it is a less of a concern, but it is still a great concern. The other one is a greater concern.
Okay.
They're both great concerns.
I still feel that the loss of first sale is a much greater and more immediate concern.
That's fine. That doesn't mean the other one is not a great concern. That is also great.
I think it's a concern that can be deferred for at least 5 years, if not a decade.
No, not even.
Okay, but the thing is, we already have evidence of DRM and first sale being taken away by downloadable content. There is already zero precedent for losing access to original ownable media.
Yeah.
But anyway, things of the day. I found this a long time ago, and I ignored it because it looked like one of those really dumb things. This looked like the kind of video that wouldn't even be worth clicking on. And one night, I'm sitting around with Emily and Scott. We got the computer open. We're looking at funny internet videos in my room, just, hanging out.
Like you do.
And we'd run out, as we do. There aren't that many worthwhile things on the internet anymore. It's hard to find something that's so novel or so new in video
that's
form
actually good.
That is also quick.
And new.
I mean, all right, some guy getting hit in the nuts. I've seen 100 videos. What do you have new? Does it get hit in the nuts twice? I've seen that. 3 times? Seen that. I mean, what?
We're so jaded. We need to see something new and amazing.
So we run out, and I do the thing that always happens where I click on one last video, and it's like, I'm going to bed after this. And I click on this video of the Count from Sesame Street, Batty, Batty, Batty. And
One of my favorite Sesame Streets, if not my number one favorite.
now all this video does
He's in a run for it with the Cookie Monster.
is censor out one and exactly one word, the word count, and it is just bleeped out. That is all they do is they bleep out the word count for this entire song.
Well, actually, they don't bleep it out when he's referring to himself by name, saying, I am the Count, but they bleep it out whenever he uses it in any of its other meanings.
Yes. So basically they bleep out the verb but not the proper noun.
Exactly.
The end result is funnier than you would have ever expected.
I think they did it on purpose back then, the Sesame Street makers, Jim Henson and whatnot. I think they did it on purpose.
I wouldn't be surprised because you listen to this and it goes beyond, you know, like Pink Floyd matching up with not Lord of the Rings, though someone did that too to prove that is BS.
Yep.
But it goes beyond Pink Floyd matching up with something and goes into like...
Because I really love to... myself, I slowly getting...
That's what I got. Scott,
It's funny like every time.
Scott was going to try to steal this from me and do it on Thursday because it was so good, so I had to preempt him.
No, what can I do? I can't steal. I've stolen like every good thing of the day whenever there's a battle over it.
He has.
So I have to let one go.
I have lost at least 5 or 6 good things of the day in the
To my
last...
power of dibs. So, back when I was in RIT and in times before, right? You know, you go to a college and you have these old computer science teachers. They've been teaching computer science like forever, since before, you know, modern computers. And there's always this one computer that's always sort of mentioned, you know, as like, back in the day we used this machine. And the machine is the PDP-11. It's sort of a really famous old computer that, you know, sort of a generation or two of computer scientists before me, that's what they use. You know, people in the 80s and such, PDP-11s were what they learned to program on. That was the mainframe. That was, you know, what all the sort of, you know, Jobs, Wozniak, Gates type people, if they went to college, you know, didn't drop out, that's what was there, right?
It's one of those, if you don't even know anything about computers, you'll hear that noun every now and then.
It's a historic, famous computer, the PDP-11, right? There's also a PDP-10. There's a PDP-11 simulator, and there's a guy who's got this whole how-to and a whole bunch of tutorials, and you can learn to program the PDP-11, which I think is pretty awesome. If you got some free time, you can learn the real deal computer science, just like you were a computer science student in the 80s.
This is one of those things where if you want... Think of something
or
cool.
the 7, I don't know what year.
Just think of something cool and simple and try to do it here, and you'll learn a lot more than you might from just taking Python and writing a script.
If you can make this happen, this is only for people who really, really want to be programmers, not for people who just want to learn some programming to do normal everyday stuff. This is something only computer science people really need to know, but it is, you know, you'll learn a fuck ton if you can understand what this shit is going on. You will be a master.
So, we're not really going to talk about the direct news of this, because the news is, you know, Google has this cool thing, but there are a lot of issues related to this, and we have to explore at least the beginning of this because it's a topic that I've been thinking about ever since a long time ago when Penn Jillette, of all people, brought it up. And he posited on his old, Penn radio this, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, but what if the government? And I remember back then thinking, I thought of 100 cool things I could do with it. And then I thought of 1,000 bad things other people could do with it.
So basically, just to sum up the news, Google has a thing called Latitude. And basically what they do is if you have a phone or some sort of GPS device, it will basically let Google know where you are as you move around town. And then it will update a Google map and people can see you on it, but only people you allow. So, I would let Rim follow me, and then Rim could know where I was. So, let's say I was coming to meet him at, I don't know, the train station. He could see, Scott's on 27th Street. He's a little far away.
But I'm not going to
he's around the corner.
I'm not going to let Pedobear 978 at AOL see where I'm going.
Well, you're not going to let him see where your little kids are going,
no,
right?
I'm not going to let him see where I'm going.
All right, and the fundamental problem here is, on the one hand, you want to take information about yourself, record it, digitize it, and share it with people you trust because that is incredibly useful, right?
Well, secondarily, analyze it for your own purposes. I mean, imagine if every day you could go home and look at a heat map of where you went every day and watch your walking paths and where you slowed down and where you sped up and the route you took to work and all that
this
stuff.
Data about you is useful in a million ways. And, in fact, it's even good to share some of it, depending on what data it is, with the entire world. Because, maybe I only want the people I trust to know where I am right now. But I might trust the whole world to know what book I bought, and that's totally useful to listeners, whoever want, they want to know what books I bought, and it's helpful to them if they think I'm a good judge of taste and such, The problem is any information you release about yourself can also be used for nefarious purposes, and specifically location data is some of the most sensitive because it can be used for stalking.
Now,
and if you're a hot lady, that is doubly troublesome.
Or if you're an internet person in general. I mean,
or any sort of famous person.
Well,
or even if you're a mayor or a senator or,
it's
anything.
Not even famous because famous is too broad a term, but I would say have brought the attention
infamous.
Have brought attention to yourself on any level. I mean, anyone whose name is mentioned on the internet in places where a lot of people go is immediately subject to stalking.
It could even be local fame. I mean, if you're just the popular girl in school or the really unpopular person at school, or maybe you have a book club, but they don't like you, or, or anything, even a small group, it could be anyone in that group, you got troubles.
So let's talk first about the fun side of this. Pretend for a moment we're in a magical world where every possible negative concern has been magically addressed by the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Woo!
So,
if only that could happen. Please, Flying Spaghetti Monster, save us.
There is a god. He is made of ramen because you pastafarians can burn in the everlasting pasta hell.
All right.
I'm sorry. So there are no privacy concerns whatsoever.
I worship the kitsune ramen.
The government never looks at it. What are the cool things we could do? This is kind of the one.
You could optimize walking paths.
This is kind of the fantasy baseball side of, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could do X, Y, and Z? And two, this is why geeks like us are so excited about the possibilities. I mean, if there weren't cool possibilities like this, if you could only do a few cool things with it, then the privacy concerns would far outweigh to the point that we wouldn't even bother. But example, hanging out with the front row crew, one of the biggest problems we have is on a weekend where we're all hanging out, we're all going to play some Burning Wheel or some Mouse Guard or something. And no one really says when they're going to show up, or someone gets delayed and we're sitting around, it's noon on Saturday. We're wondering who's showing up when. We're trying to call people. Hey, did you leave yet? Well, I just saw Pete posted something in the forum, so he's probably still in Albany and blah, blah, blah. What if I could just go to the heat map or the Google map and I see a dot for everyone I know?
Dude, that gave me the greatest idea. You could use these with a road rally.
Oh my god.
You would know, like, if you could just see where everyone is. So even though you could do either rally. You could do, the long distance sort of rally with the checkpoints, or you could do the actual downhill rally, right? Where you just see the cars go around the turn you're standing at, but you can see who's winning how fast he's going down the mountain by looking at your little Google map on your phone.
The annual, Geek Nights road rally race from Baltimore to Wildwood.
Yeah, something like that, right? You could, and if the GPS is precise enough, you could, like, if we're at Otakon, I wonder where Pete is. Oh, he's in the dealer's room. Oh, I wonder where Rim is. Oh, he's at the Artist Alley table. You could, or like, hey, I'll meet you so-and-so. Let's meet in the middle. So you're walking towards someone, and sometimes, you're trying to meet someone in the middle. You'll pass each other, not seeing each other in a crowd. This way, that can't possibly happen.
That happened to Emily and I once next to Bryant Park. We were trying to meet, and we were walking towards each other on the same side of the street on 42nd Street. We passed each other 3 times.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
go one step further, all right?
Think about, like, New York Comic Con yesterday, right? We sort of, we tried not to split up and such. We could have split up and then found each other like nothing without even picking a meeting spot.
Go one step further and do the Outlook thing where there's a function where you can tell Outlook to schedule a meeting when 5 people are free. You're at a con, right? Now, combine this with Twitter or something like it. I hit the need to meet up button with my defined group of people I need to meet up with. It pings everyone I want to meet up with immediately and says, Rim wants to meet up, and it calculates a meetup space based on who all accepts the meetup that is the optimal location for all the people who agreed to it.
Distance-wise, so everyone has the shortest walk to meet up?
Yes, or you define like 10 meeting places, like the bar downtown we hang out at, the bar uptown we hang out at, the bar crosstown we hang out at.
How about this? We're in a giant dealer's room, right? It's wicked crowded, right? I see something way awesome, right? So I just go and I type, let's say I see, I don't know, what would be really awesome?
You see a Hatsune Miku holograph generator that will act out and sing the song.
All right, so I see Hatsune Miku, right? I take a little video of the Hatsune Miku with my phone, and then it sends it out to all my friends who are also at the con, and they know exactly where that video was. They can see it right then. And they can see where I am when I was taking the whole thing. So then if they want to see the Hatsune Miku, they can go right there during the con.
Or, all right, I'm skiing. Me and Scott Johnson, we go skiing together.
That way, if we get, like, I'll be like, oh, where was that Hatsune Miku? I forget where in the dealer's room it was. Oh, shit, we lost it. That won't happen.
But one of the problems I often had was that, all right, I'm at the bottom of the hill, or, he's waiting at the bottom of the hill. How long do I wait? Do I just go back up and ski down again? Like, maybe I can just look on the GPS on my iPhone and be like, oh, he's going down way out. All right, well, I'll go up and I'll ski down the backcountry trail and I'll meet him at the bottom of the Z-Lift.
Oh, we're in the grocery store. I'm already done with all my groceries. Where's Rim in the grocery store? Do I have to run back and forth down every aisle? Maybe he checked out already and is outside at the car waiting. I'll just know.
Or even, privacy concerns aside, obviously, the police can find me when I want them to find me.
Yeah, I mean, oh no, I broke my leg in the woods. Help, help, I am right here, help, oh God.
Or even better, I can see, like, the rescuers who are coming after me can ping, and so I can see where they are in the woods, and they can see where I am, so we can move toward each other instead of the old standby.
If you can move.
Yeah, but if I can, as opposed to the old standby of, when in doubt, you have to wait, because you don't know where the rescuers are.
Or actually, you can just, regular GPS can do this already, right? But, you could let your kids just go out into the woods, and then know where they are, and then go get them.
Yeah, or, you're a parent. If your kids agree to it, you can see where your kids are all the time.
Yeah, that's totally.
And I can think of I can think of so many things.
Then you don't need to call and embarrass them while they're in their friend's basement or whatever.
There are things I could do with this sort of technology, the being able to share location data with friends.
In real time.
In real time, that would revolutionize.
The real time is what gives it an advantage over just like buying a GPS in your car.
But it would, I could revolutionize my life and revolutionize my social interactions to an unprecedented degree.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's not a fantasy world, do you really want governments that you may or may not agree with being able to track semi-secretly all their citizens all the time? Do you want your boss to be able to see that you took an hour and 10 minutes for lunch because you went all the way across town to a bar?
Do you want, your boss to see that you went to like the porn shop?
Do you trust Google to know where you are?
Yeah.
Google already knows everything else about you. Do you want them to know where you are all the time?
I mean, we trust Google now, and basically, I figure trust is something better where you put all your eggs in one basket, because when you're trusting your data, right? I mean, if I trust it all to Facebook and Google, then it's sort of like there's two chances of me getting fucked. This way, the only chance of me getting fucked, because you're completely fucked if one of them goes away, right? So the fewer the better, right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, so I figure I'll trust Google because they have been proven the most trustworthy. They're not going to stay trustworthy forever, probably.
Well, actually,
though.
the only reason I trust Google now is a very calculated game theory-esque, basically what my logic...
The benefit of trusting them far outweighs the damage.
No, my logic is thus. If Google turns evil, the odds of them turning evil against me in particular are very low.
I also, another reason I want to trust Google, if Google decides to fuck everyone, they're probably going to fuck everyone. They're not going to fuck just me, right? They're going to fuck everyone at the same time. There'll be a very giant lawsuit happening.
No, forget lawsuit. You got to think on the Mad Max scale. You've got to think in absolutes.
Yeah, it'll be Mad Max when Google fucks everyone.
It might be.
Right.
But no.
What?
In a board game.
I'll have to search on Google for hook.
In a board game, if there are options, you have nuclear options, you have brinksmanship and all these things, but you don't just weigh how much an individual decision helps or hurts you. You also weigh how much it helps or hurts or has the potential to help and hurt other people you may or may not be competing with. And if a decision hurts everyone equally, as in, there are 10 people playing the game, if we all choose to accept the help from the mysterious power, and then at the end of the game, we flip over the mysterious power card and it says minus 10 points, if everyone chose to trust the card, everyone loses the same. I am no better or worse off because, all right, Google knows all my secrets.
You're no better or worse off relative to the other people who are also on Google, but
Scott,
you're still worse off compared to people who weren't on Google.
But this is the thing. Almost everyone who is functional in the modern world basically is trusting Google to a large degree.
So basically, you're just betting along with everyone else, like a game of craps. Everyone's betting to win.
It's that the more Google decides to be evil, the wider their damage is, the less damage they're doing individually. Because, all right, they know everything about me. They know everything about everyone. If they go after everyone, what they can do to me compared to what they can do to everyone else becomes a drop in the bucket because the information they have on me becomes more and more likened unto noise. If they try to break into everyone's bank accounts at the same time and steal everyone's money, the response from the world is violent and immediate.
All right, so forget about Google being evil for a second. What if, other people are being evil? Someone who looks and sees where I am is a stalker, and they're going to stab me grape me.
This grape?
Yes, grape.
This sucks because RIT, there was a big problem with the IT and CS labs in that people needed to use them. They weren't open all the time. There wasn't enough space in the labs for everyone who needed them to use them at the same time. And pretty much on the weekends, you couldn't sign up for lab time. It was just like first come, first serve. And they were debating all these different ways to make it work better. Like maybe you can reserve time or maybe you can look and see, if the lab's free and then reserve a spot. But the reason they didn't implement a lot of these things, the primary reason was that stalking was a big problem on RIT's campus. Like stalkers were not that uncommon. In fact,
I've heard of a couple, but I didn't think it was a big problem.
It was a big enough problem.
I heard of a few that it was a problem, definitely, with some of the scary nerd types, but I didn't think it was like, oh my God, it's all over the place.
No, it was a big enough problem to where it was a concern, a specific concern here, in that if they set up a system where you could check into a lab and then you could look at the computer, in real time and see if there was a spot in the lab. Like I could see there are 2 tables free in the sysadmin lab. I'm going to reserve one and head over there. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy people can look and say, all right, it's 11 o'clock. There's only one person using the lab right now. Someone is alone in the IT building.
Mm-hmm.
And that was enough of a concern to veto several of these cool options. And it's not just RIT. Stalking, and I've read some reports on this when I worked in a capacity to see the academic papers being written by professors or that were being funded by grants and studies on students and everything. And stalking, low-level nonviolent stalking or low-level stalking that causes non-deadly or non-violent but still important concerns is a growing and huge problem on college campuses because kids be creepy. Internet lets creepy kids be much more creepy.
Especially nerdy kids be creepy.
Yes.
We're not talking about geeky kids, we're talking about nerdy kids.
And I don't know what to do about this because every time we enable to, I mean, even
Get them all girlfriends.
Yeah, no. Or boyfriends.
Or boyfriends.
Even if we secure this technology, like, all right, only your friends can access this. If the system gets compromised, someone can access your data, now you're fucked.
Yeah, it's true.
So what do we do about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, even with the Google system, right? You choose who can follow you and who can't and all that stuff, right? But someone could, like, maybe they could hack into Google, or maybe what if someone, like, takes Rim's phone? Now they know where I am, you know? It's a rough situation.
The problem is, the first half of this was pretty much, I could revolutionize my life in a way that would be far-reaching and, like, difficult to determine the end result, but definitely positive in manifold ways. But when it comes to the caveats and problem side, I have nothing but concerns and 0 answers.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, what can we do about this? It's just we just do a risk-benefit analysis for each thing and put as many safeguards in as we can, you know? I mean, I guess we could, like, require a password every time, but then that reduces a lot of the utility, as any security reduces utility. I mean, think about it. Putting a lock on your front door doesn't seem like a big deal. It does. You have to now, every time you want to go in your house, you have to have a thing, turn an extra knob, you know, it's like extra work, right? You want to have a fence around your house, it's extra work, you have to open this fence. Every piece of security that I have ever seen adds extra effort. You know, a password, I have to actually type in a password, you have to do more work. So any type of security you put on this adds extra work. And in something like location data, where, like, you know, it changes constantly, that few seconds of typing in a password or doing something like that really decreases the utility very, very significantly compared to the security that it provides. To the point at which it's sort of like putting 20 locks on your front door. It's like, well, fuck, this isn't even worth it at this point, you know? But better off not having a door.
I guess for me personally, because I'm generally confident and capable and I feel as though I can deal with the majority of situations I would be put into, and I'm generally not risk averse, and I am generally unafraid of, well, just about anything.
Yeah, if any cute girls want to stalk me, that would be welcome. As long as you're not the scary knife stalker. That is not cool. Stay away.
I would be kind of okay, like to the point that I might just be willing to, if I had a GPS device, publish my location data almost all the time and just see what happens.
Yeah, my problem with it would be not so much that I care about my location data. It's that it wouldn't be useful to me unless my friends also did it. You know, it's like, unless everyone does it, what's the point, right? It's like, let's say we use it to arrange meetings at Otakon, right? Well, what if 2 of our friends don't do it because they are afraid of stalkers? Well, now it's useless. We need to fall back to another system, right?
Yes. So the solution is pretty simple, only for very technological people. The solution is to, as a group of friends, develop our own system that integrates with all of our technology and not give it to anyone else.
But, you know, basically the answer to a lot of these problems is slowly, all these cloud computing type problems is slowly becoming everyone make your own private cloud. And that is not, for us, we can achieve that, but many people cannot.
Well, in the long run, maybe the answer is open source clouds, that like open source cloud devices.
Well, I mean, think about it. It's like we set up a Laconica server instead of using Twitter.
Yes,
That's
but take that to the extreme. Eventually, you buy a cloud computing, self-contained open source device, bring it home, plug it in, buy all the associated dongles, like sync them all together, and now you have your private cloud. I think that's the future in a decade.
I mean,
or
they
two.
do have like the Microsoft home server, but most of those things are for like low LAN stuff. You know, like in my house, all the computers in my house, the whole family can share photos and videos and watch movies on the Xbox and those sorts of things, right? And you got to just expand that out past the router somehow and let people get at it from no matter where they are without having to deal with network bullshit. And then you've got that.
All right. I don't know. I think we've got a lot of topics. We could talk about any one of these related to this.
Well, I
in
think
much
we
more
could talk
depth.
about privacy more in general at some future point.
Yeah, but for this point, I think we're done.
I also think we're done.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geek Nights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Odeo on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.